Discover the amazing transformation of a new maid who changed everything for a millionaire's daughter. Clara wiped sweat from her brow as she entered the sprawling living room of the Cross mansion, the kind of home that glittered with opulence. The grand chandeliers cast a glaring light on the marble floors, accentuating every speck of dust on the polished surfaces. She was a single mother, a maid in this luxurious world, juggling 2 jobs to keep Jake's dreams alive. As she started to dust the ornate mantelpiece, Clara's thoughts drifted. Could she ever give her son the life he deserved? A pang of doubt gnawed at her. Was this endless cycle of hard work enough? She felt the weight of judgment from the wealthy elite who roamed these halls, their lives untouched by the struggles she grappled with daily. As Clara arranged the delicate trinkets, a figure caught her eye in the corner, a silhouette framed by the cascading sunlight. It was Lily, Samuel Cross's daughter, shrouded in a quiet gloom. Their worlds clashed, yet Clara sensed a connection beneath Lily's soft facade. She hesitated, the fear of crossing boundaries creeping into her veins. "Hey," ventured Clara, forcing a smile. "Want some tea?" Lily's lips curled into a hesitant smile as she nodded. They sat together, each sip bridging the enormous divide that separated them. Clara's vivid stories about Jake and their simple life crackled like electricity, igniting something long dormant within Lily. Every word sharpened Clara's yearning for community, for validation. But between moments of laughter, her mind lurched back to Jake's needs: school, bills, a roof over their heads. Why was she getting distracted by the quiet echo of friendship in this affluent cage? Before she could catch herself, Clara found herself lost in thoughts of her father's old business, a dusty dream wrapped in memories. The dim light of nostalgia clashed with the realities of now, stirring emotions she fought hard to suppress. What if this dilapidated place held the remnants of her father's pride? What if reviving it could mean more for Jake than cleaning this mansion ever would? She felt like she was standing at a precipice. Yet as hope blossomed, uncertainty clawed at her insides. Could she risk it all for a venture that could tarnish her father's name? Before Clara could stabilize her racing mind, the crisp ring of her phone shocked her out of contemplation. An anonymous tip had landed on her screen, a revelation that sent chills down her spine. Her father's business was now entangled in a scandal that could implicate the Cross family. A million thoughts surged. How could she protect Jake's future and now Lily's as well? Did she have the strength to confront this tangled web, or did she owe it to the girl who, in her own way, was as lost as she was, to shield her from the fallout? The frantic pulse of desperation coursed through her as the weight of choosing threatened to suffocate her. The line went silent, trembling on the edge of uncertainty. Clara stood at a crossroads, her thoughts turbulent. Protect one at the cost of the other? Who mattered more? The family ties of her past, or the unexpected bond with Lily? The stakes could not be higher, and with every pained breath, she felt herself teetering dangerously on the edge of an abyss. Would she sacrifice everything to uncover the truth, or bury it to preserve a fragile connection? The darkness veiled her choices, leaving nothing but a chilling sense of impending doom as she braced herself for what lay ahead. Clara inhaled sharply, the weight of her decisions pressing down on her like the heavy chandeliers above. In that moment of palpable silence, she made a choice born from the tumult within her. She couldn't ignore the scandal threatening not only her father's legacy but also the fragile connection she had discovered with Lily. Yes, protecting Jake was crucial, yet she felt an undeniable pull towards helping the muted girl who mirrored her own struggles. Staring at her phone screen, Clara envisioned the phone call she needed to make a decision to reach out to the source of the anonymous tip. Thoughts raced as she considered the implications of revealing the truth. The scandal could unravel everything she had fought for, but could she live with herself if she turned a blind eye? Her chest tightened at the thought of inaction. Each response she could receive from that call spiraled her into a cascade of uncertainty and fear. With a trembling hand, she dialed the number, her heart pounding in rhythm with her thoughts. The phone rang, and with each beep, her resolve wavered. What if this decision spiraled out of control? "Hello?" A voice answered, smooth yet ominous. "Who is this?" Clara asked, striving to keep her voice steady despite the anxiety coiling in her gut. "A friend," the caller replied, the tone dripping with insinuation. "You need to know that your father's empire is built on more than just pride. It's crumbling. If you want to save your son's future, you need to act fast." "Act fast? What do you mean?" Clara pressed, a cocktail of fear and urgency fueling her tone. She needed concrete answers, but the ambiguity hung in the air like an impending storm.
It's not just you and your son at risk, Clara. Others, like the Cross family, are intertwined.
You need more than just blood ties to navigate these waters. Doors are slamming shut, but options remain open if you're willing to face the truth, the voice warned before abruptly disconnecting. Clara stared at her phone, disbelief washing over her in waves. The revelation didn't just implicate her family but intertwined her fate with the Crosses. A warmth filled her at the prospect of resistance, a gut instinct suggesting that clarity rested in addressing the turmoil ahead. Yet dread seeped in, reminding her of the personal stakes tied to this scandal. Could ripping open the Cross family's secrets propel her and Jake toward a future free from financial burden, or would it drown them in chaos? She exhaled, searching for clarity amid the storm brewing inside her. In her mind, she echoed the mantra of resilience she had instilled in Jake: confront the fear to gain your freedom. As the idea solidified, a budding determination surged. She needed to connect with Lily, not just as the maid but as a potential ally. But first, she needed answers about her father's business, who was behind the scandal, and what exactly did it involve. What if confronting this turmoil not only protected Jake's future but also allowed Clara to reclaim her father's legacy? A sense of purpose ignited within her. The hesitance began to fade, replaced by a firm resolve. She had wandered too far down the path of uncertainty, and now it was time to face the shadows of truth. Clara turned to the mansion's staircase, her heart racing with newfound clarity. She would bridge the gap between the worlds of privilege and struggle, equipped with the knowledge that her actions mattered. As she approached Lily's room, she hesitated, the weight of their potential alliance tantalizing, yet confounding. The knock echoed, resonating deeply with her premonitions of change. Nothing would be the same again. Would Lily be willing to join her in confronting the darkness? Would they harness their combined strength to take back control of their identities? Clara touched the ornate door, her heart thudding against her ribcage. It was time to uncover what really lay behind those carefully polished facades, both in her father's name and in the mansion that was becoming too small for both her and Jake's ambitions. With a steady breath, she knocked. Again, prepared to unveil a new chapter in their intertwined lives. What awaited on the other side remained uncertain, but she knew one thing for sure: the moment of truth was arriving, and nothing would hold her back. Clara's heart raced as she knocked a final time. Each thud against the polished wood echoed not only her burgeoning resolve but also the quiet desperation of a life intertwined with fated fortunes and hidden truths. She envisioned meeting Lily, not as an employer to a maid, but as allies caught in a larger game, ready to unearth secrets cloaked under familial ties. The door creaked open, revealing a hesitant Lily. Clara noticed the flicker of surprise in the young girl's eyes, quickly replaced by a wary half-smile. Clara sensed the air heavy with unspoken words and a silence that begged to be filled. Clara, Lily began, her voice softer than the fabric of her worn dress. "We need to talk," Clara cut in, her expression steady. "It's about your family, about my father and the Crosses. There is so much at stake, and I think we might be able to help each other." Lily shifted slightly, eyes widening. "What do you mean? I don't understand." Taking a breath, Clara stepped into the small room, closing the door behind her. In this confined space, the weight of their shared realities made the enormity of their potential alliance even clearer. "I received an anonymous call. It linked our families and hinted at something much bigger, something that could impact us all, including our futures." "What do you know?" Lily's curiosity seeped through her initial hesitation, drawing her closer to Clara. "I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to dive into this if you are." Clara's voice trembled with urgency and resolve. "We can't allow our father's messes to dictate our lives any longer. We deserve better." For a moment, Lily remained silent, gauging the sincerity in Clara's eyes. Clara could see the gears turning in her mind, recognizing the potential for empowerment, for her own reclamation of voice in a world that had muted her for so long. "What do you think we should do?" Lily finally asked, her tone imbued with a mixture of fear and newfound determination. "We need information. I have to learn what my father is hiding, and you might know things about the Crosses' dealings, what they're entangled in. If we can piece this together, we might just uncover enough to save Jake and align our fates with our own truths." Clara felt a surge of conviction. This was a pivotal moment, an opportunity leap beyond their prescribed roles.
Lily's mere presence ignited something within Clara, a shared resilience against a looming threat.
"I've heard whispers," Lily murmured, glancing around as if the very walls held the secrets they sought. "There are meetings within the family, trade agreements, discussions about something illicit."
Clara held her breath. Illicit? What do you mean?
"I can't be sure of everything, but I've overheard mentions of deals made in secret when the adults think no one is listening. They speak of risks, huge ones that could affect everyone, especially those closest to the center."
Each word from Lily echoed Clara's suspicions, confirming that the shadows lurking in her life were deeper than she had realized.
"We need to gather evidence, find out who is involved," Clara said, the determination solidifying into a plan. As they shared their ideas, a new bond forged between them, fueled by an urgency for autonomy and justice.
Clara began to view Lily not only as an ally in a precarious venture but as a vital partner in reclaiming their lives.
Hours slipped away as they pieced together a semblance of a strategy. By the time they had begun to outline their next steps, the initial trepidation had transformed into a subtle current of excitement. Together, they could face the impending storm, ready to thrust aside the guises of their respective positions. But as they solidified their plan, a critical element loomed: how to protect themselves from the powerful tides threatening to engulf them. Clara took a deep breath, a rising sense of anticipation fracturing through her anxiety.
"Lily, we can't do this without knowing who we can trust," she warned. "And I have a feeling that someone in my circle may already know more than they're letting on."
As they exchanged
glances, an unspoken understanding settled between them.
The moment of revelation was upon them, and now Clara had to decide what vital piece of knowledge could turn their intention into action. Determined to continue peeling back layers of deception, Clara realized that the next step could either fortify their resolve or lead them into deeper danger.
Time was slipping away, but they were ready.
The game had officially changed, setting the stage for a confrontation that would test their newfound alliance and force Clara to confront her own connections to the hidden scandals. The stakes were fluxing, and Clara felt the undeniable pull towards unraveling the hidden truths of her father's world. She would face whatever awaited, even if it meant confronting someone with a familiar face in her own life. What if that person held the key to everything they sought to change? The walls seemed to thrum with the impending clash of their pursuits.
Clara couldn't shake the thought of who among her father's trusted circle might betray them first.
One thing was certain: the moment of truth was accelerating toward them, and there was no turning back now. The following morning's light crept cautiously through the cracks of Clara's window, illuminating the remnants of last night's urgency, the hastily scribbled notes, and the palpable tension lingering in her mind. To Clara, each ray was a reminder that time was not merely passing, it was slipping away, inching them closer to an inevitable confrontation. Determination surged within her as she prepared for the day ahead. Each step she took felt lighter yet more purposeful. She was moving toward something greater, something transformative. Clara peered into the mirror, her reflection revealing the flickers of resolve that overshadowed the uncertainties of her previous life. At breakfast, the air buzzed with the usual retained elegance of their affluent household, but Clara felt out of sync. The clattering of plates and polite conversations became a muted backdrop to her thoughts, swirling with possible avenues of betrayal and discovery.
"Clara, are you listening?"
Her mother's voice broke through, pulling her from her reverie. "Of course," she replied, forcing a smile to mask the intensity clamping down on her chest.
The ordinary conversations felt burdensome.
Under the surface, Clara's mind raced with plans that existed outside the confines of their world, a world she feared was teetering on the brink of exposure. Later that day, Clara made her way toward the gardens, seeking the refuge of nature to sort through the chaos. Instead, she encountered Jake, her brother, lounging on a marble bench with a casual humor that belied the gravity of their realities. He was still cloaked by the ignorance and laughter of youth, chipping away at the parts of her that longed to push him toward a shared understanding of their father's machinations.
"Let us race to the fountain,"
he proposed, eyes bright, unaware of how the innocence of his challenge suffocated her resolve. "Jake," she said softly, her voice laden with the weight of unspoken truths.
"We have to talk about Dad. About what he's really doing." His face fell in confusion, betraying the innocence she craved to protect. "What are you talking about, Clara?"
"You know how Dad is, it's always business first." This was precisely the belief Clara wanted to dismantle, but how could she explain to him the depths of what lay ahead without invoking fear? She realized this moment was pivotal, not just for their family, but as a turning point for her growing independence and mental fortitude.
Things have changed, Jake. If he is hiding things, it affects everyone, especially you and me.
For a moment, they locked gazes, the air thick with the weight of clarity.
Perhaps this confrontation could be woven into the foundation of their defense.
Maybe it could ignite a shift, a realization that growing up within this family came at a cost. Okay, he relented, brow furrowed as he leaned closer.
What are you planning?
Clara could feel the gust of exhilaration rising within her as she laid out her thoughts cautiously: the alliance with Lily, their plans, and the risks involved. With each word, she felt layers of her fabricated identity chipped away, revealing a core that was resolute and ready to battle against the expectation of compliance. After several moments of contemplative silence, Jake nodded slowly.
Count me in.
But be careful, Clara. The admission felt like oxygen filling her lungs. She wasn't alone in this fight. Reflecting on his expression, Clara understood Jake's willingness to join revealed not only his trust in her but also his own need for change. However, with that trust came an intense responsibility she couldn't afford to take lightly. As they parted ways, the urgency returned, and fortification nestled in her chest. There was so much left to uncover, too much that lay just out of reach. Clara's instincts kicked into high gear, insisting she act swiftly to find allies beyond her brother, people who had overlapping stakes who could help them navigate this crooked path. Her thoughts drifted back to Lily. The time had come to confront not just her father's deceit but her own fear of stepping further into the danger that lay ahead. It was time to test the waters, to see how far they could swim without being pulled under. With resolve firm in her belly, she set her course. Clara made her way back towards the house, purposeful and steady. She wouldn't shy away from the confrontations ahead. This was her moment of transformation, a transition from daughter to empowered individual, ready to challenge familial ties and uncover truths that could redefine everything. Yet in the back of her mind lurked one pressing question that gnawed at her resolve: what betrayal awaited from the very people she sought to trust? Before she entered the house, Clara turned back toward the gardens, allowing her thoughts to crystallize. This was only the beginning, and she was determined to uncover the secrets before the game turned against her.
Each decision narrowed the gap between ignorance and truth, but how long could she balance on the edge before falling?
Clara stepped back inside the house, her mind racing with newfound possibilities. Every shadow in the hallway appeared to be layered with meaning, threats hidden beneath the surface of their familiar grandeur. This was no longer the sanctuary of her childhood, it had morphed into a battleground where loyalties could shift like sand. As she walked to her room, the plan began to take shape in her mind. Forge alliances, draw on resources, all while keeping her inner circle small and tight. Her gaze fell upon the photograph of their family atop the mantelpiece, a moment frozen in time. But the smiles it captured felt hollow now, lacking the gravity of the truths hidden just beneath. Her thoughts turned to Lily. The bond they had forged had become pivotal to Clara's sense of agency. If she was going to break the cycle of secrecy, she needed Lily's insight, someone who moved in and out of their father's world effortlessly. She had seen enough of both sides to help Clara navigate the treacherous waters swirling around the family enterprise. Clara shot a quick text to Lily, requesting to meet but keeping the details vague. The less anyone knew, the safer they would be, especially her brother. Each click of the keyboard sent adrenaline coursing through her. She was taking control of her narrative. It was exhilarating, but beneath the thrill lurked anxiety, the fear of what might happen if this encounter spiraled out of her control. As daylight waned, Clara realized she needed to emotionally prepare herself for the confrontation at hand. She pulled out her journal, the pages filled with half-formed thoughts and strategic plans. This was her safe space, a realm in which she could explore the depths of her doubts and strengths. The act of writing allowed her to dissect her emotional landscape, revealing hidden strategies for confronting her father's shadowy dealings.
What if I fail? What if I misjudge Lily?
She scribbled, pausing briefly as her inner critic stirred, whispering doubts into the void.
Taking a deep breath, Clara crossed out the negativity and replaced it with affirmations. I am capable.
I will protect my brother.
I will seek the truth.
These became mantras, the foundation upon which her path forward would be built.
The next day, Clara arrived at school with an uncommon focus, purpose radiating from her confident strides. Each interaction was electrified with her mission. Every glance from classmates became a moment to gauge who had potential as an ally. Her past tendencies to blend in began to fade. She felt alive, awake, and empowered by clarity. During lunch, she sought out Lily, whose infectious energy had often been a welcome reprieve from the demands of their social circles. They met in a quiet corner, away from prying eyes. Clara could feel the weight of anticipation thickening the air between them as she laid out her collected thoughts, her plan forming like a tapestry woven with threads of trust. As she shared her insights, she saw recognition dawning in Lily's eyes. "Clara, I've been feeling the tension too. I've noticed meetings that double back on themselves, whispers that trail off when I enter a room." Clara leaned closer, emboldened by the strength of this shared knowledge. Each revelation felt like a surge of purpose, not just for Clara, but for Lily as well. "We need to dig deeper. We can't ask for permission anymore. We take charge of our lives." Lily nodded, and Clara felt a rush of accomplishment. However, a flickering uncertainty intruded on her thoughts. Did they have the strength to pull this off? What if they uncovered something that was beyond their control? With a newfound trajectory, Clara and Lily broke their meeting, intent to reconvene with findings and create a more comprehensive strategy. As Clara walked away, she felt the gravity of their shared mission pulling at her courage. But underlying the thrill bubbled a gnawing doubt: could they truly unravel the web her father had spun without getting caught in it themselves? The stakes were rising, and time was still ticking away. Clara's resolve hardened. She had to learn the game before it consumed her. The time had come to face old family habits. As she approached the school gates, her heart clenched. What's the worst that could happen if she applied the lessons learned from this dangerous game? Just then, her phone vibrated, displaying a message from Jake. "I heard something." The words ignited a prickling anxiety. What had he discovered, and would it cheer or further tear their family apart? Clara's heart raced as she stared at the screen, the message from Jake weighing heavily upon her. She felt a mixture of dread and intrigue. Her brother had always been astute, catching whispers and noticing things that others would overlook. But what could be serious enough to alert him? She needed clarity, truth like air. The stakes were rising, and she couldn't afford distractions or uncertainty. Taking a deep breath, Clara composed herself, the rhythmic beat of the school bell marking the urge to regroup and focus on her mission. Navigating through the bustling hallways, she actively sought connections, scanning faces for those who might align with her newfound purpose. She passed her usual lunch crowd, their laughter a stark contrast to the turmoil in her mind. It was time to shed the role of passive observer and step into a more active narrative. After classes, she sought out Lily in the library, the sanctuary of silence where they could strategize without interruption. Clara's thoughts whirled, a concoction of dread and determination fueling her as she recounted the message from Jake. "He knows something, Lily. I can feel it." Lily's brow furrowed as she considered the implications. "We need to find out what he is talking about. But tread lightly, Clara. We've already stepped into a world that can engulf us if we're not careful." Clara nodded, the intensity of their shared task bringing clarity. The urgency to act propelled her. "Let us meet him. We need to know what he has heard. If he knows something about our father, we can't waste time." Their plan took shape in the hushed corners of the library, strategies echoing from the limitless shelves. Clara found herself aware of every word, carefully dissecting the implications of Jake's discovery as they planned their next steps. The thrill of discovery sparked a fierce motivation. Determined not to let fear dictate terms, Clara began to shape the narrative around herself. This was about so much more than her father. It was about reclaiming her agency, protecting her brother, and unearthing the truth that loomed like an ominous shadow. As Lily scribbled notes, Clara caught sight of her reflection in the library window. For the first time, she saw someone resolute, eyes gleaming with purpose rather than doubt. Later that evening, the weight of anticipation hung heavily in the air as Clara and Lily prepared to meet Jake. They chose a small, inconspicuous corner of the local coffee shop, an ideal setting where familial love could be intertwined with secrecy. As steam curled from mugs and patrons chatted unknowingly about their lives, Clara's confidence wavered for the briefest moment, but conviction surged back powerfully. "You ready?" Lily asked, her eyes alight with intensity. "More than ever," Clara replied, their shared resolve igniting her spirit further.
When Jake arrived, his tentative demeanor smoldered with a mix of eagerness and apprehension.
"I need to tell you both something," he began, glancing around the coffee shop as if the walls were listening. Clara leaned forward, heart pounding. Would this be the information that changed the trajectory of their lives?
"We don't have time to waste," Clara urged softly, the urgency of their family's reality lurking behind every word. His eyes met Clara's, and for a moment, a flicker of their childhood trust re-emerged. "I've overheard Dad on the phone a few times. He's involved in something big, something dangerous." Clara's blood ran cold. This was the moment her plan had led to the irrevocable point where the boundaries of family loyalty began to blur with the shadows of betrayal. She refused to turn back now. What kind of danger? She pressed, determination hardening her resolve. Jake hesitated, a hint of fear in his voice. "He's meeting with people who." Before he could finish, a muffled commotion erupted outside, two figures bickering loudly, drawing attention. Clara's pulse quickened. Change was brewing all around them, so many threads of fate were interwoven into one chaotic tapestry. They needed to act swiftly, destabilizing the legacy that loomed over them before it swallowed them whole. Could they truly bear the weight of what lay ahead? Clara clenched her fists, promising herself that she would confront any truth that would emerge from these dark waters. In that moment, she realized that whether revelations came wrapped in well-intentioned conversation or danger, she was no longer merely an observer. She was stepping into her rightful role as a leader. But little did they know one family secret was only the tip of the iceberg. As they prepared to delve deeper, Clara's awareness of her father's reach began to loom ominously overhead, reminding her the stakes were now higher than ever. With a sharp glance exchanged between them, Clara silently vowed to bend their fate. All they had to do was uncover the truth lurking in the shadows first. What awaited them as they ventured further into the darkness, in a game where the players were more perilous than she could ever imagine. The moment of Jake's revelation hung in the air, but the chaos outside pulled Clara's attention momentarily. Anxiety bounced within her, but she forced it down. This was not the time for distractions. She needed clarity, not just for her own sake but for the future of her family. Jake's face had paled further, the severity of their father's actions weighing heavily on his shoulders. Clara had assumed her brother could handle the burden, but she quickly realized that both of them were trembling under the possibility of what lay ahead. "Jake." Clara regained her composure, voice steady. "We need to know everything. Every detail counts. I think he's mixed up with some people who aren't just influential, they're dangerous." Jake's voice wavered near the end of the sentence, revealing his internal turmoil. Something inside Clara twisted. Her father, the man she once idolized, was criminally involved. It felt surreal, like stepping into a dystopian novel where morals were buried under power struggles. Her mind raced through scenarios: risk to her family, risking Jake's safety, and the distant possibility of their father facing real consequences. "We need a plan," Clara whispered. No longer could she act with passivity. Becoming an echo was no longer an option. But how? "He's our dad." Jake's protest almost broke her resolve. To him, blood meant unwavering loyalty. "Loyalty doesn't equate with blind acceptance," Clara countered firmly. "This isn't just about us anymore. We need to protect ourselves and confront him." The adrenaline coursed through her as she recognized the flickering fire within her. Lily, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. "I could help gather information. See who your dad's meeting with. There might be clues." The determination in her voice was electric, rekindling Clara's own resolve. "Yes," Clara replied, her voice firm. "Let us do that. Jake, can you keep an eye on him too? Just watch what he does when he leaves the house." Jake nodded slowly, a mix of dread and determination etched on his face. "But we need to be careful. I don't want to put you two in danger." "Danger is already here," Clara replied, each word punctuated with the weight of their reality. Jake's turmoil mirrored her own, yet Clara welcomed the challenge. It was no longer about preserving a facade, it was time to peel back the layers of lies and face the truth. As they strategized, the contours of Clara's resolve sharpened. She wasn't merely a daughter caught in the turmoil of her family, she was drawing lines in the sand, determining what she would fight for, what boundaries she would refuse to cross. A new part of her stirred, one that recognized the urgency not only to uncover the truth but also to reclaim her autonomy over her life. "Let us meet tomorrow after school," Clara proposed, urgency fueling her words. "We'll gather our findings, and we can formulate another plan." A curious excitement buzzed within her. This was her moment of transformation, not just as a daughter, but as a leader. On her way home, thoughts churned, constructing potential outcomes to every decision. That evening, she rummaged through drawers where unspoken stories rested. Old articles, newspaper clippings detailing corruption scandals and crime ring busts, echoed in her mind as she pieced together the discrepancies. With each revelation, her own hidden strength emerged. She no longer resided in the shadows of her father's image. She found herself willing to confront someone she had once trusted beyond measure. As night fell, Clara glanced out the window, reflections pinballing within her mind, intersecting paths of past loyalties and present dangers. Her heart pounded with the realization that this journey, fraught with uncertainty, would challenge her not only as a daughter but as a compass for her brother. However, just as her resolve began to solidify, her phone buzzed with a new unmarked message. "I know more than you think." The uncertainty of who sent it sent a shiver down her spine. The threads of family, danger, and personal awakening intertwined even further. Clara couldn't shake that eerie feeling of being watched. It ignited a fierce determination to uncover the unseen forces trying to manipulate them. The game was now layered deeper, and Clara was well aware that as they stepped forward, the true test was only beginning. How far would she be willing to go to protect her family while standing against an unseen adversary? Clara faced the night, her heart steeled against the challenges ahead, and whispered a promise to herself: she would rise. Clara's resolve settled uncomfortably in her chest, a tension that mingled with both excitement and dread. The weight of her family's hidden truths loomed like a shadow over her path, but now she was determined to shine light onto that darkness. The cryptic message still buzzed in her mind, urging her to dig deeper, to question everything around her. At school the next day, Clara's eagerness to meet Jake and Lily transformed into a quiet anxiety. Each tick of the clock felt like an unwanted reminder that time was not on their side. As she walked through the halls, conversations buzzed around her, a cacophony of normalcy that felt alien against the backdrop of her newfound reality. Who could she trust? Was the staff just an extension of her father's labyrinth of lies? After the final bell, Clara's heart raced as she approached their designated meeting spot in the back corner of the library. She wanted to establish a foundation for their investigation, to create a safe space where they could explore their fears and potential strategies together. "Hey!" Jake greeted her, his nervous energy evident in the way he fidgeted with his backpack. "I've got some notes on his schedules and phone calls." Lily followed closely behind, her own demeanor contrasting sharply with Jake's unease. "I've compiled a list of people he has been meeting with, and some of them, well, aren't just business associates," she said, handing Clara a folder filled with pointed information. Clara slid her finger across the top of the documents, absorbing the gravity of the revelations. The names listed ignited her curiosity, a network of individuals intertwined with her father's world. This was no longer just about protecting themselves, it was a map leading to something deeper, something that would clarify why her father had strayed into the shadows. "Let us break down what we have," Clara began, feeling a steely determination wrapping around her like armor. "We need to understand who these people are and what their interests could be." As they delved into their findings, Clara grew more confident, articulating her thoughts more clearly and decisively. Each piece of information uncovered added layers to her emerging leadership, igniting an internal spark that she hadn't felt before. Even Jake seemed to respond to her enthusiasm, his previous hesitance giving way to a cautious optimism. But even amidst this newfound unity, a nagging fear struck Clara. Was she capable of investigating her own father? Would they unveil more than they were prepared to handle? She pushed those thoughts aside, recognizing that fear was counterproductive to her mission. Their goal wasn't just to expose their father's deceit, but to reclaim their own identities, free from his dark influence. They worked late into the evening, piecing together evidence and formulating theories. The bookshelves filled with silent witnesses to their plans and ambitions. Clara felt the boundaries of her world expanding. She wasn't just a girl in a familial crisis, she had transformed into a vigilant guardian, protecting not just herself and Jake, but also protecting the very fabric of their future. As they finalized their plans, the atmosphere thickened with a blend of trepidation and triumph. Clara and her friends had crossed an invisible line, and there was no turning back. They were committed, eyes open to the risks ahead. Just as they prepared to leave, Clara's phone chimed again. This time, the message read, "You're getting too close." Now, the threat felt tangible, a predatory force lurking in the shadows, intent on stopping them. Clara looked at Jake and Lily. The determination that had surged within her felt like a shield, but it was clear that they had attracted attention. With newfound clarity and a sharpened sense of urgency, Clara steeled herself for the battle that lay ahead. The stakes were higher than ever, forcing her to confront her new reality, a world where courage and truth were both weapons and shields. A world where she would need to decide how far she was willing to go to protect not just her family, but also the very essence of who she was becoming. How could they outsmart an adversary who seemed to already know their next move? Clara felt the weight of the world upon her. There was no time to waste, and her instincts told her the predatory games were far from over. In the days that followed, Clara intensified her focus and urgency, fueled by the unsettling message that haunted her thoughts. Every moment spent in school became an exercise in vigilance. She started to observe her surroundings in fine detail, scrutinizing body language and hidden exchanges. Clara's newfound awareness didn't only apply to her investigations but extended into her everyday interactions as well, forcing her to reconsider her relationships and alliances. Her conversations with Jake and Lily shifted from casual banter to strategic discussions layered with intricate analysis. They reveled in their role as young sleuths, eager to gather every shred of information about her father's dealings. Clara organized their findings in a way that illuminated connections she had previously overlooked. As they uncovered more about her father's associates, a chilling realization crept in: these individuals had more influence than she could have ever imagined. What struck her most was the web she could unravel from her father's ties. There were names that echoed with menace, some involved in underhanded businesses, others rumored to have connections with legal troubles that raised her hair. Meanwhile, Clara acquainted herself with the material, researching articles, looking into financial transactions, and even spending evenings at the local library. The mere act of assembling knowledge conjured a sense of authority she never dreamed she could wield, but beneath her diligent exterior, doubt festered like an uninvited guest. Clara's mind raced with the implications of what they were uncovering. Was she prepared to confront the truth of her father's life? With each revelation, her resolve fought with moral conflict. What if she discovered things that could shatter her already delicate relationship with him? The thought of betraying her father gnawed at her conscience, yet the need to protect herself and her friends outweighed the tug of familial loyalty. That evening, Clara sat on her bed surrounded by notes and documents sprawled across her floor. She could feel the tension in her muscles, and energy pulsating through her, demanding action. She sought clarity, a way to reconcile her motivations and define her next steps clearly. As she stared at her father's name amidst the lists, an unexpected strength bubbled up inside of her. This was no longer just a search for answers, it was about reclaiming her agency. Feeling the weight of this newfound empowerment, Clara reached out to Jake and Lily with an idea she felt resonated with urgency. "We need to confront one of his associates," she proposed, excitement and fear intertwining in her voice. "The only way we'll get real answers is by going directly to the source. We should leverage what we have and approach them. We need to know who we're dealing with." Jake exchanged uncertain glances with Lily, who suspected potential repercussions. "Are you sure we're ready for that? What if they're more dangerous than we think?" Jake questioned, the edge of fear sharpening his voice. Clara felt the familiar pang of doubt but brushed it aside. The feeling of urgency had solidified her determination. "We can't wait, we need to act before they realize we're onto them," Clara urged, her confidence cementing her stance. "This is about more than just me. This is about protecting our futures." Little did Clara know, her decision would trigger a chain of events she could not foresee. Unbeknownst to her, someone had been watching, analyzing her every move with a detachment that sent goosebumps racing across her arms. As they prepared to face the shadowy contacts of her father, Clara felt the adrenaline surging inside her. Determined, Clara made the call to set up a meeting with one of the names that haunted her father's circles. Perhaps this confrontation would yield answers, perhaps it would reveal the truth she desperately sought, but at what cost? Would this brave leap reveal Clara's strength or expose the vulnerability she was yet to understand? The stakes had transformed into a game of chess.
Each move mattered. And the players involved had the power to alter the board entirely. Clara steeled herself, ready to face the enigmatic figure lurking in the darkness. As she set the wheels in motion, her anticipation intensified. She had crossed the threshold into a territory fraught with danger and intrigue. But with each heartbeat echoing in her ears, she was ready for whatever awaited her. In the recesses of her mind, the question loomed: would she emerge victorious, or would this quest unravel everything she once held dear? The time had come to confront the shadows that had been cast over her life. Clara took a deep breath, knowing the battle was just beginning. Would she find the truth not just about her father but about herself? Clara stood before the mirrored closet doors in her small room, catching a glimpse of the confident woman she had become. No longer the timid maid cloaked in doubt, she was now a leader, determined to wrestle her family's fate from the shadows that had long overshadowed it. What lay ahead was uncertain, yet a palpable energy thrummed through her. A calling she had long suppressed, now ignited. The day of her meeting with her father's associate arrived, and Clara meticulously reviewed every detail of her plan. She had amassed knowledge, forged alliances, and summoned the courage to confront the truth. Today is the day, she whispered to herself, tightening the grip on her notebook filled with vital information. As she stepped out of the house, sunlight cascaded upon her, reinforcing her resolve. Each footfall on the pavement resonated with purpose, as her thoughts swirled with the inexorable march toward uncovering secrets. The air seemed charged, and the small coffee shop where she had arranged to meet offered a backdrop both familiar yet charged with new stakes. Upon entering the cafe, Clara spotted Nathan, her father's associate, a man she only knew through dubious rumors. He sat in the corner, casually drumming his fingers against the table. Uncertainty struck, but this was not the time for hesitations. As she approached, her heart raced with a mix of trepidation and exhilaration. "Nathan," she greeted, her voice smooth as she slid into the seat opposite him. "We need to talk about your dealings with my father." A flicker of surprise crossed Nathan's features before he masked it with a knowing smile. "You've made quite a name for yourself," he replied, but the condescending tone did little to rattle her. Beyond his composed facade, Clara sensed the layers of deceit stacked within him. "I'm not here for pleasantries," she stated firmly, locking eyes with him. "I want answers about his latest pursuits. I know you're involved in more than just business with him." Nathan leaned back, a predatory glint in his eye. "Curiosity can be dangerous, Clara." Clara inhaled deeply, his intimidation tactics wouldn't falter her resolve. "I'm not afraid of danger. What lies at stake is far greater than you or me." The tension thickened like clotted cream, and for a heartbeat, silence hovered between them. The confidence surging within Clara blossomed. She wasn't merely defending herself, she was protecting Jake, their family's legacy, and the very essence of her identity. "Your father is playing a game he cannot control," Nathan finally admitted, each word deliberate, thick with connotation. "There are rumors, whispers that could topple his empire. And people like me don't get involved without knowing the stakes." Clara's pulse quickened, every instinct within her screamed to pry deeper. "What do you mean? What are these rumors?" Her voice steadied, determined to stay in control despite the ominous shadow looming above. Nathan leaned forward, the corners of his mouth curling into a smirk. "You have entered a world that can destroy you, Clara. Your father has made enemies. People who don't take lightly to betrayal. Betrayal." The word hung between them, thickening the charged air. Clara's mind raced, connecting the dots she had gathered since this journey began. "I'm prepared to face whatever comes next," she maintained, her thoughts aligning with the determination that sparked her resolve. "Are you? Or are you just a daughter playing detective?" His voice dripped skepticism. "I'm not just his daughter." Clara shot back, her conviction resonating throughout the cafe. "I am reclaiming my truth, my identity, and you can either help me or stand in my way." The table vibrated with tension, and Clara felt the gravity of her declaration settle deep within her. Nathan studied her for a long moment, and then nodded slowly as if conceding ground he never thought he would lose. "Very well. If you're willing to push boundaries, perhaps I'll share what I know," he replied, leaning closer, an unexpected twist in their encounter. Clara fought to suppress a gleam of victory. "But Understand, things will get murky and nothing is guaranteed.
With every exchange, Clara felt herself rising no longer a mere spectator in her life, but a critical player willing to face the complexities head-on. They would navigate through the labyrinthine connections of her father's world, unearthing the darkness threatening to engulf them while rebuilding their paths to freedom. As their conversation unfurled, Clara could feel herself dismantling the tangled web surrounding her family. Each piece of information solidified her confidence while confirming the dangers lurking in the shadows even as fear danced just beyond her peripheral vision. Hours later, as she stepped outside the cafe, the sunlight washed over her, illuminating the fight ahead, a fight that would not only require courage but also the strategic maneuvering she had sharpened over the last days. Clara was no longer just reclaiming territory, she was redefining herself. The risk was incalculable, but in this decisive moment, she discovered the authentic depths of her resilience. Her phone buzzed. Jake's name appeared on the screen. She answered, excitement coursing through her veins. Clara, you won't believe what I uncovered. Her heart soared at the thought of moving forward, the journey still perilous but had now shifted into a plane of opportunity. Tell me everything, she urged, ready to navigate the twists of fate, not as a passive participant but as the active architect of her destiny. This was her transformation, from apprehensive maid to unyielding warrior determined to conquer familial shadows, reclaim her legacy, and craft a new chapter where she and Jake would rise above the chaos. The battle lay ahead, but she understood her newfound power. Clara was ready to seize her future, and there was no turning back. And if you found inspiration in Clara's journey, you need to subscribe now to never miss another exclusive emotional transformation story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this empowering tale. What's your reaction to Clara's bold moves? Comment below with your thoughts and theories about what's next. And don't wait even one more second to share this powerful story with at least 5 friends who need to feel this momentum. Your support is crucial.